A global creative revolution. People will stop working for the man in droves. The Leo energy demands sovereignty. We will see the rise of micro empires, individuals using high level tech to run global businesses from their living rooms. Expect the world leaders to become more actors and performative as they struggle to keep the attention of a population that no longer cares about traditional authority. 2027 isn't apocalypse, it's a recoding. The old cardinal structures of 2022 through 2025 are being replaced by fixed creative power. It's a year of intense beauty for those who are clean and direct, but also a year of absolute terror for those hiding dark secrets. The United States, USA, the sleeping phoenix. 2027 marks the official shift into the cross of the sleeping phoenix. The shift. For 400 years, the U.S. was built on planning, institutions, laws, social safe networks. But in 2027, that frequency dies. The new reality. The U.S. enters a phase of individualized power. This means the hustle culture is replaced by self-empire. People will literally wake up in mid-2027 and realize they no longer feel a connection to the federal government. People are going to stop participating in the old U.S. economy. Late 2026 through 2027, Gemini and Libra equals mutation in how we are going to communicate. So here's a prediction. A telepathic tech. We will see the first true commercial breakthroughs in Neuralink style communication. We could start seeing apps that measure emotional frequency between partners. Let's talk about Donald Trump. The United States is entering a cycle linked to its own birth, a period historically tied to massive internal conflict with World War II signatures. In Trump's chart, Trump falls under Venus Maraca until late June of 2027. The killer planet or stress located in his 12th house of loss, exile, and luminaries, in the 7th house of war and violence. 2027 will be his most difficult year yet. The USA chart in 2027 shows the luminaries in the 7th house of war and violence. This is also showing up in 2026 as well. I need to mention that for April and August of this year, but strongly 2027. Here is my prediction. Massive civil unrest and legal pressure. There is a strong astrological indication that he may face health or security crises that make it nearly impossible to complete his full term, tenure, as he originally planned. The First Lady will likely step into a much more active protective role to hold the family's legacy together as the administration faces erosion through pressure. So, guys, we have the killer degree in the 12th house in Donald Trump's chart. This brings out assassinations and health problems, or even a military operation potentially involving Iran or Latin America that backfires. Now, right now, we see what's going on in Iran, but it could backfire at any time, really. But 2027 are the cursors for that. It triggers a massive financial drain that the public wasn't prepared for. And I've been saying this. It's going to start, I believe, in summer of 2026, and it's just going to get a little worse throughout 2027. The government could try to frame this as protecting democracy, but the 2027 frequency will expose it as a resource grab that leaves the U.S. globally isolated by the end of the year, by the end of 2027. When I look at August of 2027, we could see the fall of a very popular celebrity or politician. August of 2027. Write it down. And it won't come from a humanoid, but rather a decentralized AI bot who will expose this person. Will release a massive database of federal shadow budgets. It's why I was very reluctant to release my downloads for 2027, because it was just words and things that I never picked up before, but here we are. This leak will show how much the taxpayer money was diverted to the BG Tech and the LP Finance sectors between 2020 and 2026. Think of Bill Gates Tech and think of limited partnership, those two businesses. This shatters trust, and we'll see a surge in sovereignty movements where local states like Texas and Florida, as I said, I kept getting something with Texas and Florida months ago. I believe it's connected to this. I see certain states here in the United States to attempt to decouple their financial systems from the federal mirror. Moving forward, the mirror shattered. 2027 geopolitical shadow purge. Secrets held since the 1940s regarding deep state alliances and the Epstein style files, style files, will be fully exposed by uncontrollable AI leaks. Uncontrollable AI leaks. Looks like AI is going to be pretty busy next year. 2027 is a psychic pressure cooker moment for the secrets held by global elites. August of 2027, we will move into Venus phase in Leo. The energy shifts from hiding in the shadows to exposure under the spotlight. In mundane astrology, Leo rules children, royalty, and the heart of the establishment. Anything that has harmed the innocence of the collective is violently purged. My prediction: 2027 files released. Bingo. Purged. Now, this is where things are going to get a little confusing for me when I try to explain them. We're going to go ahead and get into the UK, the 2027 poly crisis and the UK connection. So bear with me. The second wave of revelations. In 2026, Andrew and Mandelson shook foundations. 2027 brings the institutional fallout. The crown and the cabinet. Think of that, okay? The 2027 Venus star in Leo will directly square the UK natal charts. This points to initials involving initial K, C, referencing the transition of power and previous knowledge, and initials BP, it means Buckingham Palace, okay? I can give that out. And I know you figured out what KC, put it all together. Regarding specific trade ports sent to Epstein in 2010. Regarding specific trade ports sent to Epstein 2010. Moving on. The LP connection. Expect files involving the Labour Party. That's what the LP stands for. Now, I can give away some of the initials, and there's some I cannot. Labour Party financial backers from the 1990s and early 2000s, specifically names linked to the Millennium Dome. Millennium Dome era and shadow banking in the City of London will surface as unfiltered AI leaks bypass government redactions. Well, we know somebody is going to be behind the AI leaks. Okay. My prediction, August of 2027, will melt the encryption on the Cabinet Office red line memos. Let me repeat myself. Red line memos showing that Marland and other lords were using the network's logistics to facilitate shadow banking deals for the UK elite. The initial SB, which represents shadow banking titans. Okay, now this is where I'm going to get into some names regarding the UK, and I'm going to use them in code. Thomas is this person's first name. Last name ends with S. You figure out the rest. A billionaire hedge fund manager. This is one of the people that you're going to hear about in 2027, in the summer of 2027. Even though he has remained off the radar in 2026, 2027 Pluto in Aquarius transit could release Sand Ledger. Sand Ledger. I'm leaving out DELL at the end of Sand, if that helps you. This document already allegedly tracks the movement of capital from the network into European debt markets during 2008 poly crisis. Watch for the name Boris. Last name ends, well, the last name of this person, Boris, starts with a C. It is not Boris Johnson. Watch for the name Boris C., a former Swiss banker connected to the Geneva proxy, and Julius BBBB Pictet, connected to the blind trust structures. Guys, when this stuff was coming in, this is like gibberish to me. It's really gibberish. But when I looked at the names and made connections, it's okay. I'm going to share it. It's all alleged. It's for entertainment purposes only. Moving on. Nathan, last name starts with a M. Has a unique last name. Nathan M. The scientific funding bridge between Microsoft and the island. Think of a man named Nate. Lord Marland. Trade envoy status to shield the network's VIP travel. And the list just goes on and on and on. The purge for this type of thing really hits the UK. The Apollo memos. See, I can't make this stuff up. The Apollo memos. And some of this may not even resonate with you all. Don't shoot down the messenger. It may come out later and we'll figure it out together. We may all have to figure this out together. The Apollo memos. Leon, and his last name starts with a B. Leon B. Internal emails detailing shadow banking fees. I don't know. I get nervous even talking about this. Okay. August 2027 will release the Starmer memos. Oh man. August of 2027 is going to be truth-telling. 2027. Whew. August 2027 will release the Starmer memos, the digital proof that the current Labor Party leadership knew about the Epstein ties and the appointment anyway to secure DC influence. Now, I wasn't sure. I kind of think I understand this. Let me read it again. Starmer memos, the digital proof that the current Labor Party leadership knew about the Epstein ties and the appointment anyway to secure DC, I'm assuming Washington, DC influence. Perhaps Starmer sent or appointed someone to be ambassador or work with the U.S. I don't know. Leaving it there. We'll see in 2027 what this means. The next thing I have is we know. I don't know what that means, but we know. You have to remember, I received these downloads about 3 weeks ago, right during the flood of my apartment, which I find, I don't believe in coincidences. I mean, I lost everything. Contamination. And this, I feel like, is just contaminated. So the LP connection, the initial LP, the LP connection leaps back to 2009. LP would be Labor Party. The documents show that Lord Mandel was passing nuggets of political intel to the network. Most likely referring to the Epstein, but anyways, okay? 2027 prediction. By 2027, I know you guys are tired of me saying that, but I have to say 2020 motherfreaking 7. Deep dives will reveal that these nuggets involved the restructuring of the UK banking system. So that's my prediction once I get the stuff. I do see deep dives. They're going to connect the dots, and people involved connected to the restructuring of the UK banking system are going to be called out. Okay. The LP saviors of the 2008 crash were actually consulting with the shadow network to protect specific private interest. That's the Labor Party as well. France. Let's talk about France's chart is heavily marked by Leo and Aquarius. Directly on France's executive power. Expect a collapse of the Macron government. France will be the first European nation to attempt a sovereign exit from the centralized EU banking system in mid-2027. I couldn't believe it, but that's what I was getting. The 2027 final release, implicating French A-list names like JLB and CA. And I'm being told not to say full names. JLB and initial CA, regarding the Paris apartments used as safe houses for the network. And I do see a massive restructuring of the French government. Moving on. Current redactions like the ones, do I need to say this? I'm going to say this in code. Current redactions like the ones RO, and then we have KH, and then we have Anna, is fighting in early 2026 will bypass in 2027 with Pluto in Aquarius. This isn't the government release. It's a forced leak. I wasn't sure what any of that was pertaining to, but I wrote it down in my auto writes. Maybe you guys do, I don't. It sounds like, again, gibberish to me. They mentioned Bill Gates and a person by, I'm just going to say Nathan, will be in the hot seat. The files are going to be damning with these individuals showing transfers. And I'm also getting something with possible jail time with someone. Then we're going to move on to Germany. Germany is heavily influenced by Capricorn, which represents the state, and Aquarius, the people. The 2027 cycle brings a twin transit that suggests a total collapse in the current coalition in Germany. The current regime will not survive in 2027. By late 2027, the German people will stop looking at Berlin or looking to Berlin and start forming a micro-state economies. No, Germany, you're not getting off that quick. The Epstein-Germany connection. The banking link. It starts with a D, E-U-T-S-C-H-E bank. Handled network accounts, even after the 2008 conviction. Again, I'm not sure what this means, guys. 2027 files will reveal German spies knew about the network since 2012, but used shadow banking to move funds for national security projects. Interesting. A name to watch. Christian, and his last name starts with a S. Christian S. In 2027, this name specifically will come out as compliance overrides, which allowed limited partnership funds we discussed to flow through Frankfurt unchecked. I don't know what this stuff means, guys. Listen out for initial HT. I'm just going to say her, like Sherbert. As 2027 files may reveal, major German family, industrial family, was involved in the Morocco, Paris logistics for France. Block that first name out. You're just going to get the initial, HT. I can't say the name. I'm not supposed to. They told me to take that out. I'm getting my spirit team is coming through here. Berlin liaison. So I'm talking about Berlin liaison now. All right, moving on to Berlin liaison. German diplomat GW connected to Washington, D.C. 2015 through 2018. The files could show he acted as a social bridge between Labour Party in the UK and the German business elites. Whew, I'm halfway through this. Like I said, I really don't know what all of it means. Now we're going to move on to the weather. I'm just so glad I released all that. It's on my heart to do so. 2027 zone of astrometeorology acts as a high heat trigger. So when Venus joins the sun in the sign of the lion, which is Leo, we aren't looking at gentle rain. We are looking at solar-driven extremes and atmospheric fires. Because Leo is a fixed fire sign, the 2027 energy creates a pressure cooker effect. And I'm going to share a few that are showing up in 2027. There could be more, but I'm only sharing what came through. So they kept showing me a heat dome, a literal heat dome. And I was getting Cairo, Egypt. Cairo, if I'm not pronouncing it right, in Egypt. I was getting something with July through August of 2027, especially something with August 1st and August 2nd. Total eclipse. Yeah, that's why. Total eclipse passes over Egypt. So Cairo in Egypt won't just be hot. It will be killing, scorching. The breath of the lion hitting the desert. First time I'd ever received anything like that. So this part of Egypt could push temps at 124 Fahrenheit, 51 degrees Celsius. Miami, Florida, September through October of 2027, hypercane level development. And that, my friends, is something I'd never seen before, allegedly. Category 6, and I'm going to leave it there. Venus moves into Virgo. It will hit hard square to Mars in Gemini, bringing rapid intensification of tropical systems in the Atlantic. Area shown, Miami, Florida, and the Keys. I see a storm surge that could redefine the coastline. Some infrastructure won't hold the 2027 frequency of water, and that's just in general everywhere. Moving on to Australia, I'm seeing something with Sydney, New South Wales. So Australia, which is part of Sydney, and then New South Wales. November through December 2027, Southern Hemisphere summer. Venus will be in the late degrees of Leo, moving into the South Node, triggering sudden release. Massive bushfires followed by flash flooding. Strongly, I'm being shown Sydney. Russia, Moscow, St. Petersburg. From January until February of 2027, I see a deep freeze blackout. We have Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, as 2026 would be the thaw out year, means things thaw out, and 2027 brings the refreeze, so the water will refreeze again. It's a cycle that destroys power grids. Moscow could see temps drop to 40 Celsius, while the grid experiences a digital physical failure. Now, that's what was shown to me, and I just wrote it down the best way I could. Use Celsius. And now we're going to move on to a few randoms, Egypt and Iraq. On August 2nd, 2027, solar eclipse passes directly over Luxor and the Valley of the Kings, just 11 days before the Venus star point. A discovery in the desert, likely near Luxor or Giza, will reveal an archaeological artifact or something that's connected to Hall of Records, found in a place it should not be. So, for example, you have something that belongs to the Vikings in Norway, right? And then all of a sudden, you find that same or part of that same article, whether it's a rock, jewelry, all the way into the Middle East, like again, Egypt or Iraq, it shouldn't be there, right? That's kind of what's going to happen. Something is going to be found out of place. This discovery will trigger a frequency shift in the Middle East. It will show that our timeline is not what we were taught in school. Forbidden history. So even though it's going to teach us something, just like with Christopher Columbus, we learned about that, this is also going to be an artifact or something that is going to help change the timelines energetically in the Middle East, and I'm hoping for the higher good. Now, when I think of that, I see Persia connected to Iran, and I feel like at some point in the next couple of years, Iran is going to switch over to its old ways connected to Persia. around the end of 2028. All right, guys, that's it. I was able to get through this. Now I have to go through it and make sure I have to erase names and just use initials for certain people that I mentioned in this video. If you are new to my channel, please hit the like button, share, subscribe, hype the video if you can. Thank you to my day ones and my old subscribers and my members only. And I will see you all very, very soon.